You can start at any time. The most common start date for a new habit or activity or behavior is New Year's Day. And in most cases, the habits that people have committed to or stated that they want to improve in, usually they best case scenario make it a couple of weeks. That's the beauty of the 66-day challenge, is that the commitment to get leads is when you commit to the 66-day challenge, you're more likely to stay with it. And you can start at any time. The Real Estate Success in 5 Minutes a Day and the Commit to Get Leads 66-Day Challenge are no guilt, in the sense that if you miss a day, then just start again, start anew, and every day is a new day. And I share the story about my first weeks and months in the business. The broker I was working under at the time shared with me how important it was to have a consistent lead generation tracking system. So in the very low-tech method, it was in August of 2002. This was really before we had PDAs and other devices that helped us keep track of goals and activities. I used a spiral-bound notebook. And my very first week in the business was August 26th, 2002. And you can see the way I set up my tracking system is I just wrote 1 through 25. I committed to making 5 contacts, touches per day. And the beauty of this is that I could go back and look and see where my business came from that very first week as a real estate agent. The very first one was a lady I had met in a book club, and she was going through a divorce. And all I did was send her a handwritten note that said, you know, if you need some help with your housing needs, please reach out to me. And I was able to help her buy a house in the McLean area. A few years later, she remarried, and her new husband had a good, strong career. So we sold the small house and bought a big house. And then a few years later, he sold his business, and they sold that house and built a new home. And that transaction for that one lady and couple was about $6 million over about 10-year period of time. Lest you think that they're only really high-end people. One of them was a sign call lead on a condo for a young couple. And as often happens with young couples, in a few years they had their first child and sold the condo and bought a small townhouse. And then a few years later they had the second child and sold the small townhouse and then bought a single family house. And then they moved out of the area a few years later, and then I sold that single family. So 6 transactions from that one sign call. Another one was a young couple, just married, teachers at my children's elementary school. And I sold them a small townhouse. And then a few years later, after they had several children, we sold that small townhouse and they bought a single family home. So the beauty of this shows that in August 2002, I was able to generate $10 million at least worth of business, well over that, in that 1 week's lead generation activities. And you too can start at any time. And that is the beauty of Commit to Get Leads 66-Day Challenge, is that it's not tied to any particular calendar day. Some people do the challenge on calendar days. Some people do it on business days. Some people follow the challenge on their working days, because those are the days that they are committing to do business development, lead generation activities. And so they have set up their tracking system for their activities and time committed to doing those on those days. And so they do their Commit to Get Leads 66-Day Challenge reading in the morning. They get their takeaway and their inspiration and information that will transform their business and life, and they choose that day to be the one that they use to impact. And so you can start at any time.